Before we get into the story, leave a comment and let us know what city you're watching from. And don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10. The end. Enjoy the story. The upscale coffee shop on Madison Avenue smelled like freshly ground espresso and expensive perfume. Marble countertops gleamed under Edison bulbs hanging from exposed brick walls, and the soft murmur of business deals mixed with the hiss of the steam wand. Madison Cole sat in the corner booth, her worn leather bag resting against scuffed sneakers that had seen better days. She checked her phone for the third time in 5 minutes. 7:58 p.m. Her blind date was officially 2 minutes away from being perfectly on time or fashionably late, depending on his personality. Either way, her palms were sweating. This is ridiculous, she thought, smoothing down her simple cotton dress. Why did I let my sister talk me into this? Because you haven't been on a date in 2 years and your Netflix subscription is starting to feel like a relationship. Her inner voice answered mockingly. Fair point. The door chimed. Madison glanced up, half expecting to see some guy in khakis and a polo shirt, probably named Brad or Chad. Instead, a man walked in wearing a faded denim jacket over a plain white t-shirt, dark jeans with a rip at the knee, and beaten-up Converse. His brown hair was slightly messy, like he'd just run his fingers through it, and he had the kind of face that could sell cologne or star in indie films, except for the exhausted shadows under his green eyes. He scanned the room, spotted her, and smiled uncertainly. Madison? She blinked. That voice was deeper than she expected, warm like honey. Yes, you must be..." She checked her phone quickly. "Ryan?" He nodded, sliding into the booth across from her. "Sorry if I'm underdressed. I came straight from work." No, you're fine." Madison waved a hand, secretly relieved she hadn't worn heels. "What do you do?" He hesitated for just a fraction too long. "I work in business, finance stuff. Pretty boring, honestly." She nodded, though something about the way he said it felt rehearsed. The waitress appeared, a perky blonde with a name tag reading Jenna. "What can I get you 2 lovebirds?" Ryan glanced at the menu, then at Madison. "What are you having?" "Just a cappuccino." Madison smiled politely. Ryan flipped the menu over, scanning prices. His brow furrowed slightly. "I'll have a black coffee. The cheapest thing on the menu." Madison noticed, but said nothing. When Jenna left, Ryan leaned back, his fingers drumming lightly on the table. "So, your sister set this up?" Madison nodded. Emily's relentless. "She thinks I need to get out more. Do you?" Madison laughed. "Probably. I'm a kindergarten teacher. My social life peaks at juice box negotiations and nap time mediations." Ryan's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing, actually. Way more meaningful than what I do. What do you do exactly?" Madison tilted her head. Ryan shifted. "You know, spreadsheets. Numbers. Meetings that could have been emails. The usual soul-crushing corporate grind." Madison studied him. There was something off, like he was playing a part. But then again, wasn't everyone on a first date? The conversation flowed easier than she expected. They talked about terrible first jobs, childhood pets, favorite books. Ryan listened intently, asking follow-up questions, laughing at her stories about 5-year-olds with surprisingly advanced negotiation tactics. When their drinks arrived, Madison reached for the check out of habit. "I've got it," she said. Ryan's hand shot out. "No, Madison, I asked you out." "Well, technically, Emily asked, but still." "Let me." Ryan's jaw tightened. He glanced at the bill. $14. His wallet came out slowly, and Madison caught a glimpse inside. A single $20 bill, a couple of ones, and what looked like a maxed-out credit card. Her heart squeezed. Oh God, is he broke? He handed Jenna the 20, telling her to keep the change with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Madison felt a pang of guilt. She made decent money as a teacher, enough to live comfortably in her small apartment. If he was struggling, she didn't want to make things harder. "How about we split the next one?" she offered gently. "Next one?" Ryan's smile turned genuine, surprised. "You want there to be a next one?" Madison shrugged, her own smile tugging at her lips. "You're not terrible company." High praise. He laughed. Outside, the September air had turned crisp. Ryan walked her toward the subway station, hands shoved in his pockets. "This was nice," he said quietly. "Yeah." Madison surprised herself by meaning it. They stopped at the top of the subway stairs. Ryan turned to her, looking like he wanted to say something important but couldn't find the words. Madison looked up, her heart doing a strange little flip. "Good night, Ryan." He smiled, soft and a little sad. "Good night, Madison." She descended into the subway, glancing back once to see him still standing there, watching her go. On the train ride home, Madison replayed the evening in her mind. There was something about Ryan, something gentle and real beneath the surface, but also something hidden. She shook her head. "You're overthinking." It was one coffee date, except when she got home and checked her phone, there was already a text waiting. "Ryan, thanks for tonight. I know this sounds crazy, but I'd really like to see you again. Maybe somewhere that doesn't require a mortgage for a cappuccino." Madison laughed out loud in her empty apartment, her thumbs flying across the screen. Madison, "How about a food truck? I know a great taco place." Ryan, "Perfect." "Friday?" Madison, "It's a date." She set her phone down, a warmth spreading through her chest. Maybe, just maybe, this could be something. What she didn't know was that Ryan wasn't Ryan at all. His real name was Harrison Chase, billionaire CEO of Chase Enterprises, and he'd just lied to her about absolutely everything. But right now, walking back to his penthouse across town, Harrison couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in years, someone had looked at him and seen just a person. Not a bank account, not a business opportunity, just him. And that felt more valuable than anything money could buy. Friday arrived wrapped in golden autumn sunlight and the smell of street vendor pretzels. Madison stood outside the taco truck on the corner of 5th and Main, her denim jacket buttoned against the cool breeze. She checked her reflection in a shop window. Hair down, minimal makeup, her favorite boots. Casual but cute. Relax, she told herself. It's just tacos. Ryan appeared from around the corner, wearing the same denim jacket from their first date, paired with a gray Henley that made his eyes look almost emerald. He carried himself differently today. Looser, less guarded. "Hey." He grinned, a little breathless like he'd been rushing. "Hey yourself." Madison smiled. They ordered 2 carnitas tacos for her, 3 al pastor for him, and found a small bench in the nearby park. The tacos were messy and perfect, sauce dripping down their fingers, laughter punctuating every bite. "This is so much better than that coffee shop," Ryan said, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "Right?" Madison agreed. No pretentious espresso art judging your life choices. Just honest food. Ryan's expression flickered with something. Guilt, maybe. But it vanished before Madison could name it. After they finished, they walked through the park. Leaves crunched underfoot. Kids shrieked on the playground, and the city hummed its usual symphony. "So," Ryan started, Tell me something real. Something you don't usually share on dates. Madison thought for a moment. I wanted to be a painter. What happened? Life. Student loans. Practicality. Teaching was the responsible choice, and I do love it. But sometimes I wonder what if. Ryan nodded slowly. I get that. The weight of practical choices. What about you? Madison nudged him. What did you want to be before finance swallowed your soul? He laughed, but it sounded hollow. Honestly, I wanted to build things. Like construction? Not exactly. More like create things that mattered. Businesses that helped people, not just made money. Madison stopped walking, turning to face him. So why don't you? Ryan's smile was sad. It's complicated. Family expectations, responsibilities. Sometimes you get locked into a path and can't find the exit. Madison reached out, her hand brushing his arm. Maybe you just need to look harder. Their eyes met, and for a moment the noise of the park faded. Ryan's hand covered hers, warm and tentative. Madison, I need to tell you something. Her heart skipped. Okay. Before he could continue, his phone rang. The ringtone was sharp and insistent. Ryan glanced at the screen, and his entire body tensed. I'm sorry. I have to take this. He stepped away, his voice dropping to an urgent whisper. Madison couldn't hear the words, but she caught the tone. Authoritative, commanding, completely different from the gentle man she'd been talking to. When he returned, his face was tight with stress. Everything okay? Madison asked. Yeah, just work. I'm really sorry, but I have to go. Emergency meeting. Madison tried to hide her disappointment. No problem. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Dinner somewhere nice? Madison hesitated. Ryan, you don't have to spend a lot of money to impress me. His expression softened. I know, but I want to. Please? How could she say no to that face? Okay. He kissed her cheek quickly, a brief warm pressure that left her skin tingling, then jogged toward the street, hailing a cab with the ease of someone used to getting what he wanted. Madison watched him go, confusion swirling in her chest. Something wasn't adding up. That phone call, the way he carried himself sometimes, the occasional slip in his carefully casual persona. That night, curiosity got the better of her. She opened her laptop and typed into the search bar. Ryan Finance New York. Pages of results, none matching the man she'd met. She tried different combinations. Ryan Business, Ryan Corporate. Nothing. Finally, she sat back, staring at the screen. Who are you, Ryan? Across the city, Harrison Chase sat in his top-floor office, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind him like scattered diamonds. His assistant, Peter, stood by the desk, tablet in hand. The Merrick deal is back on track, sir. They've agreed to your terms. Good. Harrison's voice was clipped, distracted. Peter hesitated. If I may say so, you seem unusually preoccupied. Harrison's jaw tightened. I'm fine. Is this about the woman? Emily mentioned you've been seeing someone. Harrison's head snapped up. His younger sister had too many opinions and zero filter. It's none of Emily's business. Or yours. Peter raised his hands in surrender. Understood. But sir, if you're going to continue this, you should consider the implications. What implications? If she finds out who you really are and that you've been lying. Harrison stood abruptly, his chair rolling back. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Because from where I stand, this is going to end badly. Maybe for her. Maybe for you? Probably both. Harrison's hands clenched into fists. For once in my life, someone sees me as just a person, not a name, not a bank account. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Peter's expression softened. I do, sir. But deception, even well-intentioned, has consequences. Harrison turned to the window, his reflection ghostly in the glass. I'll tell her. Soon. When? Harrison didn't answer. The city lights blurred as he thought of Madison's smile, the way she'd insisted on paying, the kindness in her eyes when she'd touched his arm. He was in deeper than he'd planned, and he had absolutely no idea how to get out without losing her. Meanwhile, Madison lay in bed, staring at her ceiling. Her phone buzzed. Ryan. Sorry again for bailing. Tomorrow night, I'll pick you 7. Wear something you feel beautiful in. Madison smiled despite herself. Madison. You're forgiven. See you tomorrow. She set the phone down, her heart doing that strange, fluttery thing again. Tomorrow. A real dinner date. Maybe then she'd get some answers. Or maybe she was about to walk straight into the most complicated situation of her life. Either way, she couldn't wait. Madison stood in front of her closet Saturday evening, surveying her options with growing panic. Wear something you feel beautiful in, Ryan had said. Easy for him to say. Her wardrobe consisted primarily of teacher-appropriate dresses, weekend jeans, and exactly one little black dress she'd bought 3 years ago for a wedding. She pulled out the black dress. Simple, knee-length, with a modest neckline. Safe. Her phone buzzed. Her sister Emily's face filled the screen via video call. Let me see the outfit, Emily demanded. Madison held up the dress. Emily's nose wrinkled. Absolutely not. You look like you're going to a funeral. It's classic. It's boring. Wait, I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, Emily burst through the door like a fashionable tornado, arms loaded with garment bags. I raided my closet. We're finding you something that says I'm beautiful and interesting, not I'm auditioning for a convent. Madison laughed despite herself. It's just dinner. Emily paused, studying her sister's face. You really like him, don't you? Madison bit her lip. I think I do. And that scares you, terrifies me. Emily pulled out a deep emerald dress, soft and flowing with delicate straps. This one. It matches your eyes and makes you look like a mysterious forest nymph. I'm a kindergarten teacher, not a nymph. Tonight you're both. Trust me. At 6:55 p.m., Madison waited outside her building, the emerald dress floating around her knees, Emily's borrowed heels making her 3 inches taller and significantly less stable. A sleek black car pulled up. Not a cab. An actual car with a driver. The back door opened and Ryan stepped out. Madison's breath caught. He wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, no tie. His hair was styled, but still touchably messy. He looked expensive. Really expensive. You look stunning, Ryan said, his voice rough around the edges. You look different, Madison replied carefully. Good different, he smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Shall we? The restaurant was the kind of place Madison had only read about in magazines. Soft lighting, actual paintings on the walls, and a wine list that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The host greeted Ryan by name. Mr. Chase, your table is ready. Madison's steps faltered. Chase? Ryan's hand pressed gently against her lower back, guiding her forward. I'll explain, he murmured. They were seated in a private corner, candlelight dancing between them. Madison gripped the menu, her mind racing. The prices had no dollar signs, which she'd heard meant you couldn't afford it if you had to ask. Ryan, She started slowly. Why did he call you Mr. Chase? Ryan, Harrison, set down his menu, meeting her eyes. His expression was raw, vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen before. Because that's my name, Harrison Chase. Madison's stomach dropped. Harrison Chase. As in Chase Enterprises? As in the billionaire who was on the cover of Forbes last month? He nodded. I'm sorry. Why? Madison's voice came out sharper than intended. Why pretend to be someone else? Why lie about everything? Because everyone who knows my name wants something. They see dollar signs before they see me. But you offered to pay for coffee. You suggested a taco truck. You looked at me like I was just a person. His voice cracked slightly. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Madison sat back, processing. The worn jacket, the hesitation over the coffee bill, all an act. So this whole time you've been testing me, seeing if I'd pass some kind of gold digger screening? No. Harrison reached across the table, but she pulled her hands back. At first, maybe. But then I got to know you, and it stopped being a test. It became the only time I felt real. Madison's eyes stung. You lied to me. I know. You made me feel crazy for being attracted to someone who couldn't afford coffee. I know, and I'm sorry. The waiter appeared, oblivious to the tension. Are we ready to order? Not yet, Harrison said, without looking away from Madison. The waiter vanished. Madison took a shaky breath. I need a minute. Of course. Harrison's jaw was tight, his hands clasped so hard his knuckles went white. Madison stood, her chair scraping back. She walked toward the restroom on unsteady legs, her mind a hurricane. In the bathroom, she gripped the marble sink, staring at her reflection. The emerald dress suddenly felt like a costume. Her phone buzzed. Emily. Emily. How's it going? Madison. He's a billionaire. He lied about everything. Emily. What? Madison. I don't know what to do. Emily. Do you like who he was when you thought he was broke? Madison paused. Yes. Emily. Then maybe find out if that person was real or just another lie. You deserve the truth. Madison splashed cold water on her wrists, steadying herself. Emily was right. She deserved answers. Back at the table, Harrison stood when she approached, his expression guarded, hopeful, terrified. I'm staying, Madison said, sitting down. But you're going to answer every question I ask. Truthfully. Anything. Why did you really go on that blind date? Harrison exhaled. Emily, my sister, your sister's friend. Set it up. She thought I needed to meet someone normal, someone outside my world. She didn't tell you who I was? What? She knew I'd run for the hills. Fair assumption. And the broke act? Harrison looked down. I wanted to see if you'd stay when there was nothing to gain. Turns out, you're one of the few people who would. Madison's anger softened slightly, but she held firm. That's manipulative. You're right. I'm sorry. What else did you lie about? Nothing else. The stuff about wanting to build meaningful things, about feeling trapped by expectations, that was all true. My life is board meetings and shareholder expectations, and people who smile at me because of my last name. With you, I could just be Harrison. Madison studied his face, searching for deception. All she found was raw honesty. This is really complicated, she said quietly. I know. I don't know if I can trust you. I'll spend as long as it takes earning it back. The waiter reappeared, hovering nervously. Harrison glanced at Madison. She nodded. They ordered, the tension easing by millimeters. Over wine and food Madison couldn't taste. They talked. Really talked. Harrison told her about the pressure of inheriting a company at 25, about his parents' death in a car accident, about the loneliness of being surrounded by people who wanted pieces of him, but never the whole. Madison shared her own struggles: student debt, the weight of practicality over passion, the fear of being ordinary. By dessert, the anger had transformed into something else. Understanding, maybe. Or the beginning of it. When Harrison's driver pulled up to her building, Madison turned to him. "I need time to think about this. I understand." "But Harrison?" "Yeah? The person I met at that coffee shop, the one who listened and laughed and was kind. If that person was real, then maybe we have something worth figuring out." His smile was soft, genuine, devastating. "He was real. He is real. Prove it." "I will." Madison stepped out of the car, her heart a confused mess of hope and caution. As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, she wondered if she was about to make the best or worst decision of her life. Probably both. Madison didn't hear from Harrison for 3 days. No texts, no calls, nothing. She told herself she didn't care, that she needed the space anyway. But every time her phone buzzed, her heart leapt stupidly, hoping. On Wednesday afternoon, while her kindergartners napped on their colorful mats, Madison's phone lit up. Not Harrison. Emily. "Emily, check your school's front office, now." Madison frowned. "Why?" "Emily, just do it. Trust me." Sighing, Madison asked her assistant teacher to watch the room and headed to the main office. The receptionist, Mrs. Chen, looked up with a knowing smile. "Oh, Ms. Cole, this arrived for you." She gestured to the corner where an enormous easel stood, draped with a cloth. Madison approached slowly. Underneath was a stunning professional easel, the expensive kind with adjustable height and built-in storage. Attached was a card in bold, clean handwriting. "You said you wanted to paint. Maybe it's not too late to start. No pressure, just possibility. Harrison." Madison's breath caught. She ran her fingers over the smooth wood, tears pricking her eyes. That night, she set up the easel in her tiny living room. She hadn't painted since college, but as she mixed colors and made the first tentative strokes, something inside her unlocked. Her phone buzzed. "Harrison. Did you get it?" Madison stared at the message, her paint-stained fingers hovering over the keys. "Harrison, you can't buy forgiveness." "Harrison, I know, but I can support your dreams. That's different." "Madison, thank you, it's beautiful." "Harrison, have dinner with me again. Let me prove the real me, Madison." "Where?" "Harrison, somewhere that matters. I'll pick you up Saturday. 2 p.m. Dress comfortable." Saturday arrived cold and bright. Harrison pulled up in a significantly less flashy car, a simple SUV, wearing jeans and a sweater. "Where are we going?" Madison asked as she climbed in. "You'll see." They drove for nearly an hour, leaving the city behind for rolling hills dotted with autumn colors. Finally, Harrison turned down a tree-lined drive. A sign read, "Maplewood Community Center." "This is one of my projects," Harrison explained as they parked. "I started funding it 3 years ago. It's an after-school program for kids from low-income families. Tutoring, arts, sports, the stuff that gets cut from school budgets." Inside, the center buzzed with energy. Kids of all ages clustered around tables, some doing homework, others painting, a group playing basketball in the gym. A woman in her 50s approached, her face lighting up when she saw Harrison. "Harrison! You didn't tell me you were visiting." He hugged her warmly. "Surprise inspection, Dorothy. This is Madison. She's a kindergarten teacher." Dorothy's eyes sparkled. Oh, then you'll love what we've done with the early learning room. Come see. For the next 2 hours, Madison watched a completely different Harrison emerge. He knew the kids by name, asked about their projects, played pickup basketball, and actually helped a struggling reader sound out words. This wasn't a billionaire making a token appearance. This was someone who genuinely cared. At one point, a little girl around 6 tugged on Madison's sleeve. "Are you Mr. Harrison's girlfriend?" Madison blushed. "We're friends." The girl considered this seriously. "He's really nice. He helped my brother get glasses when we couldn't afford them. Didn't tell nobody, but my mom found out." Madison's heart squeezed. On the drive back, the sun setting in brilliant oranges and pinks, Madison broke the silence. "Why didn't you just show me this from the beginning?" Harrison kept his eyes on the road. "Because I needed to know you liked me first. Not my charity work, not my money. Just me. And do I? Like you?" He glanced at her. Vulnerable. "I think so. Even though I'm still mad at you for lying." "Fair." His lips quirked. They stopped at a diner halfway back to the city, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and a jukebox that probably still played actual records. Over burgers and milkshakes, Harrison told her more. About the pressure of running a company he never asked to inherit. About his sister Emily, brilliant and rebellious, who refused to join the family business and became a social worker instead. About his fear that he'd never be more than his bank account to anyone. "I don't see you that way," Madison said quietly. "I see someone who's trying really hard to be good, despite having every reason to be cynical." Harrison reached across the table, his hand palm up. She hesitated, then placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm and steady. "I want to do this right," he said. "No more lies, no more pretending, just us figuring this out." "What if it doesn't work?" Madison whispered. "What if our worlds are too different?" "Then we'll have tried. That's more than most people get." Madison looked at their joined hands, at the man who'd given her an easel and shown her a community center before taking her to another expensive restaurant. "Okay," she said. "Let's try." His smile was sunrise after a long night. "But," Madison added firmly, "you're on probation. One more lie, one more test, and I'm out." "Understood." They finished their meal, the conversation flowing easier now, punctuated by laughter and the comfortable silences of people learning each other's rhythms. When Harrison dropped her off that night, he walked her to her door. "Thank you," Madison said, "for today, for seeing the real you. Thank you for giving me another chance." They stood in the dim hallway, the air between them charged. Harrison lifted his hand, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His touch was gentle, tentative. "Can I kiss you?" he asked softly. For real this time. Not as Ryan, as Harrison. Madison's heart thundered. Yes. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to change her mind. When his lips met hers, it was nothing like the quick peck on the cheek before. This was deliberate, tender, full of promise and apology and hope, all tangled together. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Madison whispered, "That was worth the wait." Harrison rested his forehead against hers. "I'll call you tomorrow." "You better." She slipped inside, closing the door and leaning against it, her fingers touching her lips. On the other side, Harrison stood for a moment, a grin spreading across his face that would have shocked his board of directors. As he walked back to his car, he felt lighter than he had in years. For the first time since his parents died, Harrison Chase believed he might actually get to be happy. What neither of them knew was that across the city, in a high-rise office, someone was already digging into Harrison's recent activities, and Madison's name had just appeared on their radar. The next few weeks felt like living in a dream Madison kept waiting to end. Harrison called every morning before her first class, his voice still rough with sleep, asking about her day before it even started. They fell into a rhythm. Dinners at hole-in-the-wall restaurants Harrison had never tried, long walks through the park, late-night phone calls that stretched until dawn. He showed her his world in careful doses, a gallery opening here, a charity gala there, but always with an escape plan if she felt overwhelmed. And Madison showed him hers, chaotic classroom parties, dive bars with her teacher friends, Sunday morning farmers markets. One crisp October evening, Harrison picked her up wearing a nervous expression. "What's wrong?" Madison asked, sliding into the car. "Nothing's wrong. I just want you to meet someone important." "Your sister?" "I already know Emily." "Not Emily." We pulled up to an elegant brownstone on the Upper East Side. An older woman answered the door, silver hair swept into a classic bun, wearing pearls and a warm smile. "You must be Madison. I'm Catherine, Harrison's aunt, the one who actually raised him." Inside, the home was lovely but lived in. Family photos covering every surface. Catherine served tea in actual china cups, studying Madison with sharp but kind eyes. "So, you're the one who's got my nephew smiling again." Harrison shifted uncomfortably, and Catherine, "Oh, hush! You've been moping around for years. This one's good for you. I can tell." They stayed for dinner, Catherine telling embarrassing childhood stories, while Harrison pretended to be mortified, but couldn't stop grinning. Madison watched the easy affection between them, the teasing and laughter, and felt something settle in her chest. This was real. In the car afterward, Harrison was quiet. "That went well," Madison offered. He glanced at her. "She likes you. I could tell." "How?" "She used the good china. She only does that for people she wants to keep around." Madison's heart fluttered. "And what about you? Do you want to keep me around?" Harrison pulled the car over suddenly, right there on a quiet side street. He turned to face her fully. "Madison, I'm falling for you. Actually, falling. The kind where I think about you constantly, and nothing else seems to matter as much." Madison's breath caught. "That's terrifying." "I know. I'm falling too." His smile was brilliant, relieved. Yeah. They kissed there in the stopped car, the city flowing around them like a river around stones. But rivers carry more than just water. Sometimes they carry poison. The next morning, Madison was having coffee in the teacher's lounge when her principal, Mr. Watkins, appeared in the doorway. "Ms. Cole, can I see you in my office?" Her stomach dropped. That tone meant trouble. In his office, Mr. Watkins closed the door, his expression uncomfortable. "I received an interesting phone call this morning from a reporter asking about your relationship with Harrison Chase." Madison froze. "What?" "Someone's leaked information that you're dating him. They're digging into your background, asking if there's any conflict of interest, insinuating that maybe you're getting special treatment or funding for the school. That's ridiculous. I know. But I need you to be aware. The board is concerned about optics. We can't have any suggestion of impropriety." Madison left the office shaking. She called Harrison immediately. "Someone leaked our relationship to the press." Harrison's voice went cold. "I'll handle it." "How?" "I have people for this." "Madison, I won't let them hurt you." "But they already are. I just got called into my principal's office." "Harrison, I'm a kindergarten teacher. I can't have my name in tabloids." "I know. I'm sorry. This is my world bleeding into yours." That afternoon, walking to her car, Madison was ambushed by a photographer. "Ms. Cole, how does it feel dating one of New York's most eligible billionaires? Are you moving into his penthouse? What do your students' parents think?" Madison shielded her face, fumbling for her keys. The camera flashes were blinding. Suddenly, a firm hand gripped her shoulder. Harrison appeared from nowhere, his expression thunderous. He positioned himself between Madison and the photographer. She said no comment. "Leave her alone." The photographer smirked. "Mr. Chase, is it true you're slumming it with a public school teacher? Are you rebelling against your family's expectations?" Harrison's jaw clenched, but he said nothing, just guided Madison into her car. "I'll follow you home. Make sure no one tails you." At her apartment, Harrison paced like a caged animal, while Madison sat on her couch, still trembling. "I should have protected you better," he said. "I should have anticipated this." "You can't control the media." He stopped, running his hands through his hair. "Maybe we should cool things off, just until this blows over." Madison's head snapped up. "What? For your protection, your career, your privacy. So you're breaking up with me?" "No." "Yes." "I don't know." Harrison sat beside her, taking her hands. "I care about you too much to watch you get destroyed by my world." "That's not your choice to make," Madison said firmly. "I'm an adult. I get to decide what I can handle." "And what can you handle?" "This?" She gestured to the window where another photographer lurked outside. "Constant scrutiny? Every moment of your life analyzed and judged? Maybe not, but I can handle it with you, if you stop trying to protect me by pushing me away." Harrison stared at her, something breaking and reforming in his expression. "You're sure?" "No. I'm terrified, but I'm also sure that walking away feels worse." He pulled her into his arms, holding tight. "I'll do everything I can to shield you. I know people. I can make this stop." "Don't." Madison pulled back to look at him. "Don't use your power to silence people. That's not who I want you to be." "Then what do you want me to do?" "Be with me. Publicly. No more hiding. If we're going to do this, we do it honestly." He searched her face. "The scrutiny will get worse before it gets better. Then we'll handle it. Together." Harrison kissed her forehead, her cheeks, finally her lips. "How did I get so lucky? You tested me with poverty cosplay. I'm not sure luck is the right word." He laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. That night, Harrison issued a statement through his publicist. Short, simple, honest. "I'm in a relationship with Madison Cole, an extraordinary woman who makes me want to be better. I ask that the media respect her privacy and recognize that she deserves to be seen for who she is, not who she's dating." The statement didn't stop the cameras, but it slowed them. And when Madison walked into school the next day, her principal pulled her aside. "That was a classy statement. You've got a good one there." "Yeah," Madison smiled. "I think I do." Still, that night, lying in bed scrolling through online comments, Madison felt the weight. Gold digger. Social climber. She's nobody. Harrison called. "Stop reading the comments." "How did you know?" "Because I'm reading them too, and they're making me want to buy every publication and shut them down." "Don't. Just talk to me instead." So they did, for hours, about everything and nothing. And when Madison finally fell asleep, phone still pressed to her ear, Harrison's voice the last thing she heard. She thought maybe, just maybe, they could survive this. Together. 3 weeks later, Madison had developed a thick skin, or at least a thicker one. The photographers still lurked occasionally, but she'd learned to ignore them. Her students' parents had been surprisingly supportive, though she caught whispers at pickup time. The worst part wasn't the attention. It was the gap it highlighted between her world and Harrison's, like the night he invited her to a business gala. "It's boring," he'd warned, "but I'd really like you there." Madison agreed, then spent 2 hours staring at her closet in despair. Emily came to the rescue again, this time with a stunning navy gown that made Madison feel like she was playing dress-up. At the gala, held in a museum rented for the evening, Madison clung to Harrison's arm. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, conversations about stocks and mergers swirled around her. Harrison introduced her to various business partners, his hand never leaving her waist. "Madison, this is Robert Chen, CEO of Chen Technologies." Robert's smile was polished. "Ah, the famous kindergarten teacher. Harrison speaks of you constantly." Madison forced a smile. "All good things, I hope. Of course, it must be quite different from this world." "Refreshingly so," Harrison interjected smoothly, steering Madison away. "Sorry," Madison murmured. "For what?" "I don't fit here." Harrison stopped, turning to face her fully. "You fit with me. That's all that matters." A woman's voice cut through. "Harrison Chase. I thought that was you." They turned. A stunning blonde, in a dress that probably cost more than Madison's car, approached, her smile sharp. "Victoria." Harrison's tone went carefully neutral. "It's been a while." 2 years, Victoria agreed, her eyes sliding to Madison with obvious assessment. "And you are?" "Madison Cole," Madison said, extending her hand. "Harrison's girlfriend." Victoria's handshake was brief, cold. How quaint. Harrison dated models and heiresses. This must be his charity face. Madison's cheeks burned, but before she could respond, Harrison stepped forward, his voice ice. "Victoria, you'll want to choose your next words very carefully." Victoria's eyes widened slightly. She laughed, the sound brittle. "I was joking. Of course. Excuse me." She swept away, leaving tension in her wake. "I'm sorry," Harrison said immediately. "She's awful. I should have warned you she might be here." "Who is she?" "Ex-girlfriend. Very ex. Emphasis on the ex." Madison tried to shake it off, but Victoria's words burrowed deep. Charity face. The rest of the evening felt like performance art. Madison smiled and nodded, but inside she was drowning. In the car ride home, Harrison sensed her withdrawal. "Talk to me. I don't belong in your world. We've been over this." "Have we?" Because tonight felt like proof. Everyone there had trust funds and vacation homes. I have student loan debt and a subway pass. "Madison, I don't care about any of that. But they do. And eventually, you will too." Harrison pulled the car over again, his new habit when conversations got serious. "Look at me." Madison reluctantly met his eyes. "I grew up with money, yes. But I also grew up lonely, surrounded by people who wanted what I could give them, never who I was. You see me, the real me. That's worth more than anything. What about what I can't give you? What does that mean? I can't network at galas. I can't talk about stock portfolios. I can't be the perfect billionaire's girlfriend. I don't want perfect." Harrison's voice was fierce. "I want you. Messy and real and completely yourself." Madison wanted to believe him. She did. But doubt had planted roots. The next day, Saturday, Harrison surprised her by showing up at her apartment in jeans and a paint-stained t-shirt. "What are you doing?" Madison asked. "You've been painting. I want to try." "You? Paint? Don't sound so shocked. I contain multitudes. They set up in her living room, the easel he'd given her surrounded by canvases and brushes. Madison taught him basics, color mixing, brush techniques. Harrison was terrible. Wonderfully, endearingly terrible. "This looks like a crime scene," he said, staring at his abstract attempt at a sunset. "It has character. It has chaos." "Same thing." Madison grinned. They painted for hours, laughing at Harrison's disasters, Madison occasionally guiding his hand to show technique. Paint ended up everywhere, on their clothes, their hands, somehow in Harrison's hair. "How did you get paint in your hair?" Madison giggled. "I'm gifted." He pulled her close, leaving a deliberate blue handprint on her old t-shirt. She gasped. "You did not." His grin was mischievous. "Prove it." She dabbed red paint on his nose. He retaliated with yellow on her cheek. Within minutes, they were both covered, laughing so hard they could barely breathe, the weight of galas and ex-girlfriends temporarily forgotten. Later, cleaned up and eating takeout on her couch, Harrison said quietly, "This is my favorite version of us. Paint-covered and ridiculous? Happy." Madison leaned into him. "Mine too." But then her phone rang. Her principal again. "Cole, I'm sorry to call on the weekend. There's been a development." Her blood went cold. "What kind of development?" "A parent has filed a formal complaint, suggesting that your relationship with Mr. Chase might lead to preferential treatment or donations that could unfairly benefit the school. They're demanding you recuse yourself from certain decisions." Madison closed her eyes. "This is insane." "I know. The board is taking it seriously, though. There'll be a hearing next week." Harrison's expression had gone stormy. He could hear every word. When she hung up, he said immediately, "I'll make a statement. I'll clarify that I have no connection to your school, that there's no conflict of interest. That might make it worse." "So what do we do?" Madison didn't have an answer. That week dragged like torture. The hearing was scheduled for Friday afternoon. Madison spent sleepless nights preparing her defense, while Harrison consulted with lawyers. Thursday night, Harrison came over with dinner and determination. "Whatever happens tomorrow, we'll handle it. What if they fire me?" "They won't. But if they try, They won't buy the school," Madison finished. "I know." He smiled ruefully. "You know me too well already. I just meant I'd support you. Help you find something even better. I don't want something better. I love my job." "I know." His arms came around her, solid and reassuring. "But you're good enough that any school would be lucky to have you." The hearing Friday was brutal. Madison sat before the school board, answering invasive questions about her relationship, her finances, her intentions. Through it all, she maintained her composure, explaining clearly that she and Harrison kept their lives separate, that she'd never asked for or accepted any special treatment. After 2 hours, the board excused her. They'd deliberate and provide an answer by Monday. Madison walked out exhausted, finding Harrison waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car. He straightened when he saw her. She walked straight into his arms. "I can't do this anymore," she said into his chest. "Give up on us, or give up on letting other people dictate your happiness." Madison pulled back, searching his face. "When did you get so wise?" "Somewhere between terrible painting and falling completely in love with you." Her breath caught. "What?" "I love you, Madison. I should have said it sooner. I love you, and whatever happens, we'll face it together." Madison's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too." They stood there in the parking lot, holding each other as the sun set. Two people from different worlds who'd found something worth fighting for. Monday's answer would come. But right now, they had this. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. Monday arrived with gray skies, and Madison's nerves stretched to breaking. She taught her class on autopilot, her kindergartners singing the alphabet, while her mind spun through worst-case scenarios. At 3 p.m., Mr. Watkins called her to his office. The board has made their decision. Madison's hands clenched in her lap. And? They've cleared you of any wrongdoing. There's no evidence of conflict of interest. You're free to continue your relationship without professional consequence. Relief flooded through her so intensely she felt dizzy. Thank you. However, Mr. Watkins continued, his tone gentle, I'll give you some advice. The scrutiny won't stop. You'll need to develop very clear boundaries between your personal and professional lives. I understand. Madison left school feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She called Harrison immediately. I'm cleared. Thank God. His relief was palpable. Dinner tonight? Somewhere we can actually celebrate? Actually, Madison said slowly, can we just stay in? Order pizza, watch bad movies, be normal? That sounds perfect. That evening, sprawled on Madison's couch in sweatpants, sharing a large pepperoni pizza, felt more intimate than any gala. Harrison had removed his suit, trading it for jeans and one of Madison's oversized hoodies that was comically small on him. You look ridiculous, Madison laughed. I look comfortable. There's a difference. They watched a terrible action movie, critiquing the plot holes and physics-defying stunts. Halfway through, Harrison said quietly, I've been thinking. Dangerous. He smiled. I want to step back from some of my responsibilities at the company. Focus more on the community center, on projects that matter. Spend more time with you. Madison muted the TV. Are you sure? That's a huge decision. I've been running on autopilot for years, doing what I'm supposed to instead of what I want. You've reminded me there's more to life than board meetings. I don't want to be the reason you make a decision you'll regret. You're the reason I'm finally making decisions I won't regret. He took her hand. I'm not abandoning the company, just restructuring, delegating more, creating space for a life instead of just an existence. Madison squeezed his hand. Then I'm proud of you. They finished the movie, Madison falling asleep against Harrison's shoulder. He carried her to bed, tucking her in, before settling on the couch. The next morning, Madison woke to the smell of coffee and burning toast. She stumbled to the kitchen to find Harrison waving a dish towel at her smoke detector. I was trying to make breakfast. She bit back a laugh. How did you burn toast? It's a gift. A terrible, terrible gift. They ate salvaged cereal instead, laughing over the countertop. Madison's phone buzzed. Emily. Emily. Family dinner tonight at Aunt Catherine's. You're invited. Both of you. Madison showed Harrison the text. He groaned playfully. Fair warning. Emily will interrogate you mercilessly. I survived a school board hearing. I can handle your sister. Famous last words. That evening at Catherine's brownstone, the dining room was warm with laughter and the smell of roasted chicken. Emily arrived in a whirlwind, hugging Madison enthusiastically. Finally, someone normal in this family. I'm literally sitting right here, Harrison protested. Exactly. Emily grinned. Over dinner, Catherine shared more stories. Emily added embarrassing details, and Madison felt herself relaxing into the chaos. This was family, messy and loud and full of love. After dessert, Catherine pulled Madison aside while Harrison and Emily argued over who got the last piece of pie. He's different with you, Catherine said softly. Lighter. You're good for him. He's good for me, too. Catherine patted her hand. Then hold on to each other. The world will try to pull you apart. Don't let it. The following week settled into a new rhythm. Harrison restructured his role at Chase Enterprises, promoting his capable COO and focusing more on philanthropic projects. Madison continued teaching, the scandal fading as new gossip replaced old. They learned to navigate their different worlds. Madison attended occasional business events. Harrison volunteered at her school's fall festival. They found balance. One Saturday in late November, Harrison took Madison ice skating at Rockefeller Center. The rink was crowded, tourists and locals gliding under twinkling lights. "I should warn you," Madison said, clinging to the rail. "I'm terrible at this." Harrison, who skated with surprising grace, took her hands. "I've got you. Just trust me." They wobbled around the rink, Madison laughing every time she nearly fell, Harrison catching her each time. At the center of the rink, he stopped. Madison bumped into him. "What are you doing?" "Being grateful." "For what?" "For taco trucks and terrible paintings and coffee dates. For you seeing me when I was pretending to be broke. For loving me anyway." Madison's heart swelled. "For testing me with poverty cosplay?" He laughed. "That too." Harrison pulled her close, the world spinning around them. Skaters blurred into streaks of color. Music drifted from nearby speakers. And Madison thought, This is happiness." They skated until their fingers were numb, then warmed up with hot chocolate, marshmallows melting into sweet foam. On the walk back to Harrison's car, Madison said, "I have something to tell you." Harrison's expression turned cautious. "Okay, I got offered a position, head of early childhood education for the entire district. It's a promotion, more money, more responsibility." "Madison, that's amazing. There's a catch. It would mean less classroom time, more administration. I'd miss my kids." Harrison stopped walking. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. Teaching them directly is what I love, but this could help so many more children." "Then, you already know your answer." "Do I?" "You just said what you love. Don't let anyone, including me, make you choose something else." Madison studied his face. "You really mean that? I fell in love with a kindergarten teacher who lights up talking about finger painting and phonics. I'm not going to push you towards something that dims that light." Madison kissed him right there on the sidewalk, tourists flowing around them like water. "I love you. I love you too. Now can we please get somewhere warm? My nose is frozen." They hurried to the car, hands clasped, breath fogging in the cold air. Madison decided to turn down the promotion. It wasn't the right move, not yet. Maybe someday, but for now, her classroom was where she belonged. Harrison supported her completely, surprising her a week later with a donation to her school's art program, made anonymously so there'd be no questions. "How did you know?" Madison asked. "You mentioned they cut funding. I wanted to help without causing problems." "You're impossibly in love with you." "Yes," she kissed him. "That, too." As December arrived and the city transformed into a winter wonderland, Madison and Harrison began planning their first holiday together. It would be chaotic between Catherine's traditions and Emily's chaos and Madison's own family. But they'd navigate it, together, because that's what they did now. Navigate the impossible, bridge the gap between worlds, and somehow, against all odds, make it work. And it was working. Better than Madison had ever imagined. Still, in quiet moments, she wondered if it could last, if their foundation was strong enough for whatever storms might come. She was about to find out. The first storm arrived 2 days before Christmas. Madison was wrapping presents in her apartment when her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Ms. Cole? This is Jennifer Park from the New York Tribune. I'm writing a feature on Harrison Chase, and I'd love to get your perspective on your relationship. Madison's stomach sank. I'm not interested in commenting. Even off the record? I have some information you might want to know about. Like what? There are rumors that Mr. Chase has been involved in some questionable business dealings, offshore accounts, potential tax evasion. I thought you'd want to know before you got more deeply involved. Madison's hands went cold. Those are serious accusations. Do you have proof? I'm working on it, but sources inside his company have been very forthcoming. I don't believe you. Your loyalty is admirable, but naive. Money changes people, Ms. Cole, even ones we think we know. The line went dead. Madison sat frozen, her mind racing. Harrison wouldn't. He couldn't. But what did she really know about his business dealings? She called him immediately. Can you come over? Now? His voice shifted to concern. What's wrong? Just please come. 20 minutes later, Harrison arrived, still in his suit from a meeting. Madison met him at the door, her expression serious. A reporter called, said you're involved in tax evasion and offshore accounts. Harrison's jaw tightened. Jennifer Park? How did you know? Because she's been harassing my office for weeks. It's all false, Madison. Completely fabricated. How do you know? He took her hands. Because I have an entire legal team that ensures everything I do is above board. After my parents died and I inherited the company, I made a promise to myself to run it ethically. No shortcuts, no shady dealings. I have the documentation to prove it. Then why is she saying this? Harrison sighed, running a hand through his hair. Because scandal sells, and taking down a billionaire makes a good story. She's fishing, hoping to find something, or push me into a reaction. Madison wanted to believe him. She did. But doubt whispered in the back of her mind. Can I see the documentation? His eyes flashed with hurt. You don't trust me. I want to. But I'm a teacher, Harrison. I can't be associated with anything illegal or unethical. It would destroy my career. Show me the proof, and I'll never doubt you again. The silence stretched between them, fragile and aching. Finally, Harrison nodded. Tomorrow, I'll have my lawyers pull everything together. You can review it all. Thank you. He left shortly after, the distance between them suddenly vast despite the small space. That night, Madison barely slept. She kept replaying the conversation, the hurt in Harrison's eyes, her own desperation for proof. Was she being reasonable or paranoid? The next day, Harrison called. My office. 2 p.m. I'll have everything ready. Madison arrived at Chase Enterprises, the glass tower gleaming in winter sunlight. She'd only been here once before. Now the security guard waved her through, the elevator shooting her up to the executive floor. Harrison's office was massive, the city sprawling below. But Madison only had eyes for the table covered in documents. My entire financial history, Harrison said quietly. Tax returns, offshore accounts that are completely legal and declared. Investment portfolios. Everything. My lawyers have flagged anything that might seem questionable and provided explanations. Madison spent 2 hours reviewing everything. Harrison sat across the room, working silently, giving her space. Every document confirmed his story. Legitimate investments, properly reported income, charitable donations that were staggering in their generosity. Nothing shady, nothing hidden. Finally, she looked up. It's all clean. I told you. I know. I'm sorry I doubted you. Harrison crossed to her, his expression softening. You were protecting yourself. I understand. but it hurt. I know. I'm sorry. He pulled her into his arms. They stood there, holding each other, rebuilding trust brick by brick. That night, Harrison's lawyer issued a statement threatening legal action against the Tribune if they published unsubstantiated claims. The story never ran. Christmas Eve arrived with fresh snow and renewed hope. Madison invited Harrison to her family's celebration, a chaotic affair in her parents' small suburban home. Her mother, Susan, was a whirlwind of hugs and cookies. Her father, Tom, was quieter, assessing Harrison with careful eyes. Her younger brother, Jake, was home from college, immediately grilling Harrison about sports and business. "Does this happen every holiday?" Harrison whispered to Madison as her mother thrust another plate of cookies at him. "Every single one. Welcome to the chaos." Harrison fit in better than Madison expected. He helped her dad fix a loose cabinet hinge, debated basketball with Jake, and charmed her mother by genuinely loving her cooking. After dinner, Tom pulled Harrison aside. Madison watched nervously from the kitchen. "Take care of my daughter," Tom said quietly. "She's stronger than she looks, but she's been hurt before." "I know, sir. I plan to spend a very long time making sure she never is again." Tom studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Good. Deal." They spent Christmas morning planning imaginary floor plans, laughing over coffee, the city glittering with fresh snow outside. That afternoon, they visited the Maplewood Community Center, bringing presents for the kids. Madison watched Harrison crouch down to a little boy's level, helping him assemble a new toy, and her heart swelled. This was the man she loved. Complicated and imperfect, but genuine. Later, back at the penthouse, they sat by the tree, the lights twinkling in the growing darkness. "Thank you," Madison said quietly. "For what? For being patient with me. For understanding when I needed proof. For not giving up." Harrison pulled her closer. "Thank you for seeing me. For trusting me, even when it was hard. For choosing this, us, despite everything." Madison tilted her face up, kissing him softly. "Always us." The kiss deepened, tender and full of promise. Outside, snow began to fall again, blanketing the city in quiet. And inside, two people from different worlds held each other close, building something that belonged to neither world, but entirely to them. The storms weren't over. Life would bring more challenges, but they'd face them together. And that made all the difference. The new year brought new possibilities. Madison and Harrison spent January designing their combined apartment, arguing good-naturedly over paint colors and furniture placement. "You can't put a desk there," Madison insisted. "That's where the reading nook goes." "Reading nook?" Harrison raised an eyebrow. "You have an entire library already." "Exactly. I need expansion space." He laughed, pulling her into his arms. "Fine. The reading nook wins. I knew you'd see reason." In February, Harrison surprised her by enrolling them in a cooking class. "We can't survive on takeout forever," he explained as they donned matching aprons. "You burned toast, I'm aware. The instructor believes in second chances." The class was disaster and delight in equal measure. Madison accidentally added salt instead of sugar to her cream sauce. Harrison somehow set off the fire alarm with allegedly fireproof equipment, but they laughed until their sides hurt, and by the end had produced something almost edible. At home, they attempted to recreate the recipes with mixed results. The kitchen became their playground, flour fights and stolen kisses between burnt attempts at soufflés. One evening in March, as they sat amid the construction chaos of their combining apartments, Harrison said casually, I've been thinking about the Maplewood Center. Yeah? I want to expand it, open 3 more locations across the city. Target neighborhoods that need it most. Harrison, that's incredible. I want you to help me run them. Madison's head snapped up. What? You're an educator. You understand what these kids need better than any consultant I could hire. Plus, he smiled, I like working with you. I can't leave teaching. I know. This would be part-time. Weekends, some evenings, developing curriculum, training staff. You'd be shaping programs for hundreds of kids. The idea took root immediately, teaching her classroom students while helping build something larger. Both, not either or. I'm in, she said. Harrison's face lit up. Yeah? On one condition. Anything. We do this as partners, equal decision-making. None of this billionaire swoops in and saves the day nonsense. Deal. They shook hands formally, then dissolved into laughter. Over the next months, Madison discovered she loved the challenge. She developed reading programs and art curricula, interviewed potential teachers, visited sites. Harrison handled the business side, but true to his word, consulted her on every major decision. The first new center opened in May, a bright space in a neighborhood that desperately needed it. At the ribbon cutting, a little girl approached Madison shyly. Are you the teacher lady? Madison crouched down. I am. My brother goes here. He loves it. He says you made the art room. I helped. The girl considered this seriously. Thank you. My brother didn't smile much before. Now he smiles lots. Madison's eyes stung. You're very welcome. Watching from the side, Harrison felt something shift in his chest. This woman, who'd walked into his life by accident, had changed everything. The way he saw his wealth, his purpose, himself. That evening, after the celebration ended, they stood in the empty center, the walls still smelling of fresh paint. Thank you, Harrison said quietly. For what? For reminding me that money is a tool, not a trophy. For showing me what really matters. Madison leaned into him. You would have figured it out eventually. Maybe, but it would have taken a lot longer and been a lot lonelier. They drove home through the city, the lights blurring into streams of gold. At a stoplight, Harrison took her hand. Move in with me. Officially. I practically live there already. I know. But I want it official. I want to wake up to you every morning. I want our combined apartment to be our home, not just a construction project. Madison smiled. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. The light turned green, but Harrison didn't move, grinning at her until the car behind them honked. By June, the construction was complete. The combined penthouse was stunning, a blend of Harrison's modern aesthetics and Madison's cozy touches. Her paintings hung on the walls, his sleek furniture balanced by her overstuffed reading chair. It was a perfect marriage of their worlds. Madison's lease ended, and she officially moved in, her possessions filling the remaining spaces. Emily helped, making inappropriate comments about every piece of furniture. This couch has seen some action, I bet. Emily! Madison threw a pillow at her. Harrison walked in carrying boxes. What did I miss? Your sister being inappropriate. So, a normal day. Emily grinned. That night, their first official night living together, they ordered Chinese food and ate it on the floor of their new living room, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. To new beginnings, Harrison raised his beer bottle. To combined chaos, Madison clinked hers against his. They ate and talked and planned, the easy intimacy of people building a life together. Later, lying in bed, the city quiet beyond their windows, Madison said softly, I never imagined my life would look like this. better or worse than you expected? Harrison's voice rumbled in the darkness. Different. Scary sometimes, but better. Definitely better. He pulled her closer. I love you, Madison Cole. I love you too, Harrison Chase. They fell asleep, tangled together. Two people who'd started with deception and found truth, who'd bridged impossible distances to build something real. July brought summer heat and a new challenge. Victoria, Harrison's ex, resurfaced with a vengeance. She published an op-ed in a major magazine titled The Billionaire's Downgrade, positioning herself as an insider, exposing Harrison's supposed midlife crisis. According to Victoria, Harrison's relationship with Madison was a rebellion against his class, a temporary phase before he returned to someone appropriate. The article went viral. Madison woke to her phone exploding with notifications, messages from friends, colleagues, even strangers weighing in. She read the article over coffee, her hands shaking. Harrison emerged from the bedroom, already on his phone with his publicist. I'm handling this. How? Legal action. A response. Whatever it takes. Madison set down her phone. Or we could ignore it. Ignore it? She wants a reaction. If we give her one, it proves she got under our skin. And if we don't, then we show everyone that our relationship isn't performative. It's real. And real things don't need defending against petty attacks. Harrison studied her. When did you get so wise? Somewhere between falling for a billionaire and learning to ignore paparazzi. He kissed her forehead. Okay, we ignore it. It wasn't easy. For weeks, the article circulated, spawning think pieces and hot takes. But Madison and Harrison simply lived their lives. They posted nothing, said nothing, just continued working, loving, building. Gradually, the noise faded. New scandals replaced old ones, and their silence spoke louder than any rebuttal could have. By August, Victoria's article was forgotten. But Madison and Harrison's relationship remained, stronger for having weathered the storm. At the community center's summer festival, watching kids play and parents mingle, Harrison slipped his hand into Madison's. Thank you, he said, for teaching me that the best response to hate is to keep loving loudly. Madison squeezed his hand. Always. The summer sun filtered through the trees, music drifted from the festival stage, and two people stood together. Proof that sometimes the most unlikely love stories are the ones that last. September arrived with the crisp promise of autumn and a surprise that would change everything. Madison had been feeling off for weeks, exhausted in a way that extra sleep couldn't fix. She attributed it to the busy schedule, balancing teaching in the community centers. But when she couldn't keep down her morning coffee for the third day straight, Emily insisted she take a pregnancy test. It's probably nothing, Madison said, but her hands shook as she unwrapped the box. Emily waited outside the bathroom, providing moral support through the door. What if it's positive? Madison called out. Then you and Harrison are going to have a very interesting conversation. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Madison, you're scaring me. What's going on? She took a deep breath. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between them. Harrison froze, his expression unreadable. Say something, Madison whispered, her heart hammering. He stood abruptly, and for a terrible moment, Madison thought he might walk out. Instead, he crossed to her, pulling her to her feet and into his arms. We're having a baby? His voice was rough, choked. Yes. Are you happy? Harrison pulled back, and Madison saw tears in his eyes. Happy? Madison, I'm terrified and ecstatic and completely overwhelmed. But yes, I'm happy. Are you?" Madison's own tears spilled over. "I think so. I'm scared. But yes." They held each other, the reality settling over them like snow, quiet and transforming. Over the next weeks, they navigated the early stages together. Madison's morning sickness was brutal. Harrison learned to keep ginger tea stocked and crackers on every surface. He'd wake in the middle of the night to rub her back when nausea struck, never complaining. In October, they went to the first ultrasound together. Harrison held Madison's hand so tightly it hurt, but she didn't mind. "There," the technician pointed to the screen. "That's your baby," a tiny blob with a flickering heartbeat. Harrison's breath caught. "That's ours? That's yours." They left the clinic in a daze, the ultrasound photo clutched in Madison's hand. In the car, Harrison said quietly, "Marry me." "What?" Madison's head snapped toward him. "I know this isn't how you probably imagined it. No rose petals or fancy restaurant. But Madison, I want to do this right. Not because we're having a baby, but because I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Madison's heart swelled. "Yes." His face broke into a brilliant smile. "Yeah? Yeah. Absolutely. Yes." They kissed there in the clinic parking lot, the future unfolding before them in ways neither had planned, but both wanted desperately. That evening, they told their families. Catherine cried happy tears. Emily screamed so loudly they had to hold the phone away, and Madison's parents expressed cautious joy mixed with practical questions. "When are you getting married?" Susan asked. "We haven't planned that far," Madison admitted. "Before the baby comes," Tom said firmly. "It's important." Madison and Harrison exchanged glances. They hadn't discussed timeline, but Tom wasn't wrong. So in true Madison and Harrison fashion, they planned a wedding in 6 weeks. Small and intimate, just family and close friends, no media circus, no elaborate production, just love. The ceremony was held at Catherine's brownstone in late November, the house decorated with autumn flowers and candlelight. Madison wore a simple cream dress, her growing belly just barely visible, a crown of flowers in her hair. Harrison wore a suit but no tie, his eyes never leaving her as she walked down the makeshift aisle. Emily officiated, managing to be both irreverent and touching. "Do you, Harrison Chase, take Madison to be your wife? To love her through morning sickness and terrible mood swings and whatever chaos this baby brings?" "I do." Harrison's voice was steady, his smile soft. "And do you, Madison Cole, take Harrison to be your husband? To love him despite his inability to make toast and his annoying habit of being right?" Madison laughed through tears. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me by the internet," Emily grinned. "I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride and try not to make it weird in front of your aunt." Harrison kissed Madison thoroughly, earning whoops from Jake and a delicate cough from Catherine. Afterward, they celebrated with dinner and dancing, the small group filling the house with laughter and love. Late in the evening, Harrison pulled Madison onto the makeshift dance floor, swaying slowly to music only they could hear. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Chase?" Madison smiled. Like the luckiest woman alive. He rested his hand on her stomach. "And how's little Chase?" "I think the baby likes dancing." Harrison leaned down, kissing her temple. "I love you. Both of you. I love you too." They danced as snow began to fall outside, visible through the windows, the world transforming into something magical. That night, Lying in bed in their apartment, Madison's head on Harrison's chest, she thought about the past year. From a blind date with a man pretending to be poor to this, married and expecting a baby, building a life together. It was messy and unexpected and absolutely perfect. Harrison's hand found hers in the darkness. "Thank you," he whispered, "for taking a chance on me, for seeing past the lies to the truth, for building this with me." Madison squeezed his hand. Always. Outside, the city never slept. But inside, two people who'd found each other against all odds drifted into dreams of a future they'd build together. One day at a time. Winter settled over New York with a vengeance, snow piling on sidewalks and frost etching patterns on windows. Madison's pregnancy progressed, her belly growing round and her ankles swelling despite Harrison's insistence that she rest. "I'm pregnant, not fragile," she insisted, organizing supplies for the newest community center. Harrison hovered like an anxious shadow. "You're carrying our child. That makes you both precious and fragile. You're impossible." He kissed her forehead. "Impossibly in love with you." "Yes, that too." In January, they learned they were having a girl. Harrison cried in the ultrasound room, not even trying to hide it. "A daughter," he kept repeating. "We're having a daughter." They spent evenings painting the nursery a soft lavender, Harrison's careful brushstrokes alongside Madison's creative flourishes. They assembled furniture together, arguing over instruction manuals and laughing when nothing fit quite right. "What should we name her?" Harrison asked one night, his hand on Madison's belly. Madison had been thinking about this for weeks. "What about Hope?" "Hope Chase." His eyes softened. "Why Hope?" "Because that's what she is. Proof that hope wins. That two people from different worlds can build something beautiful." His voice was thick. "Hope Madison Chase. Her middle name should be yours." Madison's tears came easily these days. Perfect. As February arrived, Madison's teaching became more difficult. Her principal suggested she start maternity leave early, and reluctantly, Madison agreed. The hardest part was saying goodbye to her kindergartners. "We'll miss you, Miss Cole," a little girl named Sophie said, presenting a drawing of Madison with an enormous belly and a crown. "Because you're our queen teacher." Madison hugged each of them, promising to visit with the baby. At home, she felt adrift without the daily structure of teaching. Harrison noticed her restlessness. "Talk to me," he said gently. "I miss them. My kids. I know this is temporary, but I feel like I've lost part of my identity. You're not just a teacher, Madison. You're also going to be an incredible mother. But what if I'm not good at it? What if I don't know what to do? Then we'll figure it out together, just like we've figured out everything else." His certainty steadied her. One cold evening in late February, Madison's water broke. She was standing in the kitchen, reaching for a glass, when warmth flooded down her legs. "Harrison." Her voice was surprisingly calm. "She's not due for 2 more weeks. Babies don't follow schedules." Harrison went into controlled panic mode, grabbing the hospital bag they'd packed weeks ago, calling the doctor, helping Madison to the car. On the drive to the hospital, Madison gripped his hand through contractions. "You're doing great," he kept saying. "I'm not doing anything yet. The hard part hasn't started. It will be okay. We'll be okay." At the hospital, hours blurred together. Pain and breathing and Harrison's steady presence, his hand in hers, his voice in her ear. "You're amazing. You're so strong. I love you." At 3:47 a.m. on February 28th, Hope Madison Chase entered the world, screaming her arrival with impressive volume. She was tiny and perfect, with a wisp of dark hair and her father's green eyes. Madison held her, tears streaming down her face. "Hi, baby girl. We've been waiting for you." Harrison couldn't stop touching them both, his hand on Madison's shoulder, his finger in Hope's tiny grip. "She's perfect. She's ours." Over the next days, they learned the chaos of new parenthood. Sleepless nights and endless diaper changes, and the overwhelming love that came with every tiny sound Hope made. Catherine visited, bringing casseroles and wisdom. Emily arrived with an absurd amount of pink clothing. Madison's parents came, her mother taking over the kitchen, her father sitting for hours, just watching his granddaughter sleep. In quiet moments, usually at 2 a.m. during feeding, Madison and Harrison marveled at their daughter. "I can't believe we made her," Madison whispered. "Best collaboration we've ever done." By March, they'd found a rhythm. Madison discovered she could balance motherhood with her work at the community centers, bringing Hope along sometimes, the baby sleeping in a carrier, while Madison reviewed programs. Harrison adjusted his schedule, working from home more, unwilling to miss a single moment of Hope's early days. One afternoon, Madison found him in the nursery, just watching Hope sleep in her crib. "You okay?" she whispered. He nodded, not looking away from their daughter. "I keep thinking about my parents, how they never got to meet her, how much they would have loved her." Madison wrapped her arms around him from behind. "They'd be so proud of you, of the man you've become, the father you are. I hope so. I want to do right by her, give her everything, but also teach her what matters. You will. We will. Together." In April, they celebrated Hope's 2-month birthday with a small gathering, watching their daughter surrounded by family, by love. Madison felt a completeness she'd never known she was missing. Later, after everyone left, the three of them cuddled on the couch. Hope slept on Harrison's chest, her tiny fist curled against his shirt. "This," Harrison said softly, "is everything." Madison leaned into him. "Yeah, it really is." They sat in comfortable silence, the city glowing beyond their windows, their daughter breathing softly between them. The journey from that first blind date to this moment had been unexpected, challenging, and absolutely worth every step. Madison thought about the woman she'd been a year and a half ago, lonely, cautious, convinced she didn't fit in Harrison's world. Now she realized she didn't have to fit. They'd built their own world together, one that held room for kindergarten classrooms and corporate offices, taco trucks and charity galas, her paintings and his business plans. And now, a baby girl who would grow up knowing that love matters more than money, that family is chosen as much as given, that different worlds can collide and create something entirely new. "Thank you," Madison whispered, "for testing me with poverty, for seeing me, for building this life with me." Harrison kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for passing, for staying, for loving me anyway." "Always," Madison promised. "Always us." Outside, spring rain began to fall, washing the city clean. Inside, a family slept, tangled together, proof that the best love stories are the ones you never see coming. The ones that start with deception and end with truth. The ones that test you and transform you and ultimately make you whole. 6 months later, autumn returned to New York, the city dressed in gold and crimson. Hope was sitting up now, babbling in her own language, reaching for everything with curious hands. Madison had returned to part-time teaching, finding the balance between classroom and home. Harrison had fully restructured his role at Chase Enterprises, spending most of his time on the community centers, which had expanded to 5 locations across the city. One Saturday in October, they visited the Maplewood Center for its anniversary celebration. The space was packed with families, kids running through the art room Hope had helped design, teenagers playing basketball in the gym, parents sharing food and conversation. Harrison held Hope, pointing out different areas. This is where Mommy designed the reading program, and this is where kids learn music. Hope grabbed his nose, giggling. Madison watched them, her heart full. A woman approached, someone Madison recognized from previous visits. Mrs. Ramirez, whose son attended the center. Ms. Cole, I wanted to thank you. My son Carlos, he was struggling so much in school. But the tutoring program here, the art classes, they changed everything. He's thriving now. He wants to be a teacher someday. Like you. Madison's eyes stung. That's wonderful. It's because of you. Both of you. Mrs. Ramirez glanced at Harrison. You didn't just give money. You gave hope. That's the real gift. After she left, Harrison appeared at Madison's side, Hope reaching for her mother. Did you hear that? Madison took their daughter, kissing her cheek. We gave hope. He smiled. Turns out we're pretty good at that. That evening, after Hope was asleep, they sat on their balcony, the city lights spread before them like scattered stars. Remember when we first met? Harrison said. You mean when you lied about everything? Madison teased. That. His grin was unrepentant. Best, worst decision I ever made. Madison leaned into him. Why worst? Because I almost lost you so many times. The lies, the scrutiny, my ex being awful. Every obstacle could have ended us. But we made it anyway. Against all odds, Madison Cole saw past my money to who I actually was. And Harrison Chase saw past my defenses to who I wanted to be. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes from truly knowing someone. You know what I think? Madison said eventually. What? I think that blind date was never really about testing me. It was about testing yourself, seeing if you could be vulnerable, if someone could love you without the wealth. Harrison considered this. You might be right. I am right. I'm a teacher. We're always right. He laughed, the sound warm and free. So what now, Mrs. Chase? What do you mean? We've built the life. We have the family. The centers are thriving. What's next for us? Madison thought about it. More of this. Growing hope, expanding the centers, maybe painting more, definitely surviving toddlerhood. Nothing dramatic. Just life. Just us. Sounds perfect. They went inside to check on Hope, standing over her crib, watching her sleep. She had Madison's nose and Harrison's eyes, a perfect blend of both their worlds. She's going to be extraordinary, Harrison whispered. Because she has you two as parents. Emily's voice came from the doorway. They turned to find her leaning against the frame, smiling. When did you get here? Madison asked. Just now. Used my key. Hope you don't mind. Emily approached the crib. I wanted to see my favorite niece. She's your only niece. Details. Emily looked at them both. You know, when I set up that blind date, I never imagined it would lead to all this. Why did you set it up? Madison asked. Because my brother was miserable, rich and successful, and completely alone. And you, Madison, you were so focused on being practical that you'd forgotten how to dream. I thought maybe you could help each other. Mission accomplished. Harrison put his arm around Emily. Thanks, little sister. She hugged him back. You're welcome. Now, who wants ice cream? I brought the good stuff. They moved to the kitchen, keeping their voices low so Hope could sleep. Over bowls of expensive gelato, Emily regaled them with stories from her work, the families she was helping, the system she was fighting against. "You're making a difference," Madison said. "So are you both." Emily gestured around. "This life you've built, it's proof that love wins, that choosing each other, choosing hope, that matters." Harrison raised his spoon. "To choosing hope, to choosing love," Madison added. "To choosing gelato at 10 p.m., Emily finished. They clinked spoons, laughing. After Emily left, Madison and Harrison climbed into bed, exhausted but content. "You know what I realized today?" Madison said. "What?" "That reporter, Jennifer Park, who tried to destroy you, Victoria, who wrote that awful article, all the obstacles we faced, they made us stronger. We wouldn't be here without them." Harrison pulled her close. "I'd rather have had an easier path. But you're right. Every challenge proved we could survive anything together." Madison yawned. "We should sleep. Hope will be up in approximately 4 hours, demanding breakfast." Harrison kissed her temple. "Good night, Madison. I love you. I love you too." In the nursery, Hope stirred slightly, settling back into sleep with a soft sigh. The city hummed beyond the windows, never stopping, never sleeping. But inside apartment 4501-4502, the combined penthouse that housed a family built from unexpected love, there was peace. A kindergarten teacher and a billionaire, two people who had tested each other and found truth. It just keeps showing up in unexpected packages, asking if you're brave enough to unwrap them. Madison and Harrison had been brave, and they'd found everything they never knew they needed, together. The end. Rate this story from 0 to 10 and let us know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you for listening.